was fast.
Whew. You got to be sharp here, Snark. Got to be sharp.
Considerably faster credits. Everybody, welcome to Post Whistle here after the NHL trade deadline, after the Olympics. Everything is full board for the NHL heading to the Stanley Cup Playoffs. Maybe one of our favorite teams isn't going to show up there, which is going to make me cry every night till I fall asleep. But a couple of people on this panel have teams that maybe are looking pretty good going into the Stanley Cup playoffs. First of all, welcome a fan of the Colorado Avalanche for whatever reason, Adelia Chamberlain. Adelia, how you doing?
Whatever reason, they moved to my hometown and won the Stanley Cup in the
There's
first
no
year
reason.
they were
There's
there. I mean, if
still,
that's not a reason to support them, I don't know
yeah,
what is.
still, it's not as questionable as a guy who enjoys the New York Islanders. Ryan Christensen also here.
Ooh. Yes, sir. Hey,
You know what?
ready to talk about this unbelievable and god awful trade deadline day that happened.
So super important. So many big deals. Dropping.
Oh, I'm
Everyone.
I'm telling you, it is so jaw dropping. They had to spend 8 hours on our local TSN feed and spill 7.75 of those hours with nonsense.
Yeah, that's all they do anyways. I think they're going to start figuring out maybe we just come in 2 hours before, catch everybody up, maybe go in, just jump in when there's something happening. That'd be fine.
Start at 3 o'clock. Start at 3 o'clock, and that's all you need to do.
What was your favorite thing about the trade deadline there on TSN?
Nothing.
Yeah, 100%. What's up, Shug? 100%
Well,
for me.
Except the fact, so sorry to cut you off, except the fact that they brought in a so-called CNN reporter who was going on about O-Dog or Jeff O'Neill.
He's gonna fact check him.
Fact check him.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was 10 minutes of the drizzling shit TV I've ever seen.
Yeah. My favorite bit was they set up this thing. It's going late into the day. They're gonna do themselves their own draft. They're gonna set up everything exactly the way the NHL does, exactly the way they do. Guess who wins TSN's draft lottery?
Oh my gosh! Let me guess.
Toronto Maple Leafs from what, from like 9th or something like that. They win. It was like, come on.
I know
you want everybody to take it seriously.
I'm sorry, but that's it. And I mean, I get like everybody like ESPN has their own thing, which is fine, but at least ESPN has all these teams they cover.
Yeah.
TSN only covers, well, they say they cover all 6 Canadian teams, but they only really focus on one.
I'll say this though, because TSN has regional rights to things like the Leafs, but they always split it with Sportsnet. I think they have regional rights to Ottawa, and
they do
regional rights to Montreal through RDS, right?
Through RDS, yes.
Yeah, Sportsnet does not care two shits about Winnipeg, about Ottawa, and they have to about Montreal.
That's true.
En français, un petit peu.
Un peu.
Yeah, un petit peu.
No, un petit peu. Okay.
Yeah, very little bit. You know, it's Leafs full bore. All they kept complaining about was the Leafs aren't making moves. Oh, when are the Leafs going to make these moves? They sat out all these guys.
And you know what? We'll talk about it, but man, I laughed. I laughed so hard on Friday, like my belly hurt. How much I laughed at that team.
Let's start with the Leafs, just because I was mentioning it, because they make a trade to Colorado. Adelia, once again, you guys are looking for a third line center at the deadline. Maybe you guys get two. It's a very strange. It's a very strange
it's weird.
with things over there in Colorado, but if you have the space, might as well do it. Nicholas Waugh first coming over uh, to Colorado from the Leafs. They give up a conditional first round pick, which is
I,
Yeah, I
bananas.
didn't like that.
That
didn't
is
like
bananas.
that.
The fifth round pick is more. Nicholas Waugh coming in. Where was he before? Vegas, I think. They came in from the what was he in
Mitch Mar
the
he was in the Mitch Marner
yeah,
sign and trade.
Marner trade.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's some good work there by Brad Treliving. But he gets a first round pick out of him. But it's Colorado's first round pick, so it's basically a second round pick. But that's fine. Now,
That's the only thing that he actually did that was worth talking about his name, because it's not Brad, it's Bad Triveling.
yeah, he did such a good job with Calgary. Just think of all the playoff successes that they did, and the stars that he's drafted. I think he was involved with getting Dustin Wolf, which
Okay,
uh,
that's okay. I'll give him that's fine.
maybe a bit of a sophomore slump for that kid. You know what I mean?
Just
Yeah, terrific rookie season for a
un
goalie.
petit peu. Is that
Yeah,
what you call it?
yeah, a very little bit of a sophomore slump. But Nicholas Waugh is going to go over there. You'd think he'd be a third round pick, and through the trade deadline, the bells go off. That's it. Uh, what's that sound I hear? There's there's something
Da-na-na,
going on. There,
da-na-na.
there's a little. I could hear an echo of we got a trade to announce once again, coming in late. Once again in the Brad Marchand spot, you could say, where a cup contending team is going to run in there and try and get somebody. They're going to try and put the band back together in Colorado. They go and get, for whatever damn reason, Nazem Kadri. Uh,
Hey,
Yeah.
you can say
The
hey, but Nazem Kadri, a 35-year-old Nazem Kadri, I think with 3 years left on that humongous deal that he signed in Calgary. Although they're going to save 20% of it, and I haven't done the math on 8 million, but I think that's about 1.75 million or something like that. Uh, to get an aged Nazem Kadri, who's, mind you, not with Colorado for a very long time.
he's
He was
proven
there.
winner.
He
Proven
was there.
winner.
He was there when they won.
Proven winner.
I'll also say he's also, like, hasn't really had a chance to show himself in the playoffs for Calgary because they've just been terrible. But when he was with the Leafs, he was a menace, and not in a good way. He would just get suspended every
Whoa.
playoffs I would see. See, I told you it wasn't just me. Sometimes the light goes out
I
on
don't know
post
what's up
whistle.
with your camera,
What
Ryan.
what just happened here?
The
I
lights
don't know. I
went
can't
out.
see you.
That's what happens when you even slightly disagree with the Snark on the show. So to get Nazem Kadri, the Avalanche give up again a first round pick, which is fine because you guys are in win now mode. You've got superstars, like the Jets were in a position last year where obviously they couldn't do it because no one ever waives a trade. Uh, their trade exceptions to go to Winnipeg for whatever reason. Uh, well, I could go into reasons, but I'm not going to do it here. Now they give up a conditional first round pick. They give up a conditional second round pick. All these, I think, slide because it's all based on winning a Stanley Cup. You guys won the Stanley Cup again. Who gives a shit? No one cares.
Exactly.
Yeah. And again, the 20%. You guys also are going to give up Max Curran and Victor Olofsson for a 35-year-old Nazem Kadri. But, if you guys do win the Stanley Cup, what a story. You bring a
Yeah.
guy who's a popular guy, I think, for the fan base, even though he was there for what? Was he even there 2 years? Nazem Kadri? He wasn't.
2.5 years, I want to
Yeah,
say.
was not there for very long. So you're gonna bring him back, popular in the like for the fans, popular in the dressing room, I
Yes.
suppose, as well. And so I will still say this: of all the trades the Avalanche make, and they made some other trades and stuff like that. Like, this isn't it. They pushed their chips in. They're going to go for it. You can't blame them at all for it. I think the biggest trade they make was at last year's trade deadline, getting Brock Nelson, because he's
Yes.
been terrific for the Avalanche. I know that is music to Ryan's ears.
No,
I mean, I think that the fact that we have Brock Nelson and he's worked out and he's settled and he's our second line center told me that we weren't going to make this move, and then we made the Nicholas Waugh move, and I was like, okay, so we're definitely not going to make this Nazem Kadri move, and then we end up making the Nazem Kadri move anyways. Like Nicholas Waugh in Bednar's press conference, he kept referring that he's going to play on the wing, so I would assume Nicholas Waugh is going to play on the wing once Naz gets back to Denver.
He would have to. He would have to. There's no.
Has to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not sticking him at center. Ridiculous.
All of the top our 4-line centers now are under contract for at least another season, so it's not like any of them are expiring free agents. So
I think that's in one case maybe a detriment. Maybe a detriment because they're paying an awful lot for maybe be a third or fourth line winger. But
yeah,
good vibes, true. Good vibes.
Yeah. But if it doesn't work this year in winning the Stanley Cup, and who knows, like the playoffs are the playoffs, anything can happen in the playoffs, then they have another chance to do it again next year. And hopefully next year they won't have to make trades like this at the deadline. Not that I think they needed to make all these trades at this deadline.
I don't think they'll be able to. You can only trade.
They have nothing to give.
Exactly.
They have nothing to give for trades now.
We don't have a first round pick now until 2029.
Yeah.
I believe it is.
Yeah.
Because our first round pick for this year went to the Islanders last year for Brock Nelson. That got traded to St. Louis, I think, for Braden Shen.
Mm-hmm.
Then 2027 went to Toronto. 2028's gone to Calgary. Like, that's okay in the position that the Avs are in right now, but like they need to start like not trading away the other picks, because we do need to have some sort of a farm system to have people to bring up into the team.
I remember
for other players. So
I remember it would have been back when you started becoming a fan of the Avalanche, and those poor Quebec Nordiques had sucked for so long and gathered so much talent. Then there's a big trade that happens, and it comes to fruition mostly the next year because there's a trade for a goaltender that they never would have went to Quebec in 100 million years. No, he started owning a team there shortly after he just quit on the Avalanche. They started to go down fast. So they were good. They had gotten rid of all their number one picks. They were getting guys like Rob Blake. They were getting guys like Ray Bork.
Yeah.
All this is going to work. It works. They win Stanley Cups. Fantastic. All of a sudden,
those guys retire.
The pool is dry. They spent maybe 2 years at the bottom.
Well, I'm more than that, I thought.
Not very much.
They went downhill for a while.
It bottoms out.
He brought them back up to the playoffs. Then they just got even worse after he left.
It bottoms out with them ending up getting the number one pick. So
when did we get the number one pick?
When you guys picked up Nathan MacKinnon?
Well, yeah, we had the number one pick that year, but I don't think we were.
That's when everything was going down. It bottomed out. They get number one pick.
We were the worst, though, was with MacKinnon on the team when we ended up with the.
It was his first or second year. First or second year.
As the first guy and stuff like that, but you have to bottom out first. The Avalanche team that you had, with the Sakics and stuff like that, you'd never get a chance. Even if you started mid-league, if you started to retool, what are you looking at? An 8th spot and stuff like that. The stuff like the Jets have been doing, getting to the 8th position, getting into the 7th position, just barely making the playoffs. Doesn't matter. You have to bottom out. And so you guys did. You guys ended up getting, a franchise guy, like the most important guy on your team since Joe Sakic. I'm not going to say he's more important than Joe.
But they also, but you don't have to draft first overall to build a team.
It helps. It sure helps.
It helps.
Except if you're the Leafs. You could pick number one and still be stupid idiots.
What was Cale Makar? Was he fourth?
Fourth.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you look at him now, and you say he's there's no ifs, ands, or buts. He's the best defenseman in the league, correct?
Sure. Well, you could also say you can also finish bottom and not win. You get Edmonton with all those number one picks, so they get
Well, that's
Connor
what I'm
McDavid,
saying. Like,
obviously one, and Leon Draisaitl was the third or fourth pick. Like
yeah, no,
there's
no, I'm not saying.
pass on
I'm
Leon Draisaitl.
yeah, like I'm not saying you have to finish dead last to rebuild a team. Yes, you have to be bad, and you probably have to, I would say, be in the bottom five for a couple of years for sure.
At least a
But
couple
you
of years.
but you don't need that number one overall pick, which Edmonton had for how many years?
It sure helps.
It didn't help Edmonton. So how much did it help?
They never picked a goalie. That's the biggest problem with them. And the whole fail for nail thing. That fail for nail thing
Well,
was
but
like a dagger in the.
that's on the management of the Edmonton Oilers.
Sure.
The scouting, like that's not
But
just something that
when you have
you could
that
say.
many number one picks in a row, you could do like Quebec did, which is gain enough assets to be what turned out to be a juggernaut in Colorado, and should have been a cup winner in Quebec.
Well,
Like they failed
but
against the Rangers. They should have
I,
been.
I also think too that a number one draft pick who refused to go to Quebec helped that along as well.
Sure, but they never make that. They never get to do that unless they failed and finished dead last in the
Oh,
league.
sure, I understand that.
But
Okay, yes,
but
okay, that makes sense.
but Owen Nolan, Matt Sundin, making those trades to get guys and stuff like that. Of course, Joe Sakic.
But like Owen Nolan or Matt Sundin never helped Colorado win a cup.
Yeah, but the trades they had to do sure as hell did. All those assets mean so much. And when you get to pick first overall and stuff like that, it can't help but help your team, unless you're absolute dog shit.
I don't know. I look at a bunch of teams that have
San
first overall
Jose,
picks.
San Jose.
Yeah, like
Just can't figure it out. You guys picked number one overall last year. I think that worked out.
That's because we have good management team. Like, but again, we were also in a draft year where there might have been maybe one that could be comparative, but no, like if you get yourself a top stud defenseman, but now Matthew Schaefer has also overachieved from what any of us or even my Islander fans have expected him to do. He's overachieving.
If they include him on Team Canada, like I said, they should have. Does that change how Canada ends that tournament? Especially with more.
No, first. I don't think it does though, Snark. I really don't.
All right. You don't think he's going to add to any offense at all?
Well, I never said that, but no. I don't think it changes the outcome of the Olympics. If you took Schaefer over Morrissey.
No. I would say taking Schaefer over that goofy smiling bugger over in Los Angeles.
Oh, Doughty, yeah. Okay, well, yeah, but then again, but Doughty, even if Doughty was, he'd still probably be on the team.
For what? Emotional support. You could have came over, and been a good teammate on.
Oh, sure, 100%. And
bring your best players.
Again, well, then they missed out on Scheifele. They missed out on Bedard.
Yeah, it was terrible. That's what you get when you have a guy who has last place team or second last place team in the league run your team. Thank you again, Doug Armstrong. Speaking of thanking Doug Armstrong,
right? I'm shaking his hand right. Well, I am, but I'm not.
Yeah, this is if you guys make this trade for Braden Shen 6-7 years ago, wow.
It's a phenomenal trade for the Islanders. Even if it's 5 years ago, 4 years ago.
But you're getting
we paid a premium for a player that is
as much as I'm saying like Colorado gave up a lot to go get the two centers they did. They have been the number one team in the league since the puck dropped this season. You guys have been very good, and the East is pretty weak. The East is yours to go take. That's all fine.
Well, I think it's not just us; it's everybody.
Yeah, you're getting an older guy too. You give up Jonathan Drouin.
Who cares?
He's now joining his 17th team.
I don't think Jonathan Drouin has recorded a goal since November.
Right. But
So
you
really, like, we're not.
you guys are going to give up a prospect, not your top prospect, anything like that.
No.
You give up a prospect and Martin Goodluck, but you guys do give up your first round pick. You
Mhm.
guys do give up a third round pick.
Yeah, like it's a king ransom for a player who is on the decline in their career. There's no ifs or buts.
Yeah,
I mean, I applaud them for making the trade because I do believe that they had to do something.
sure.
But when I seen what the return was for other players, that was only about an hour later. I was like, oh, if you just waited a little bit longer, could you have got them off what they want? And I'm not saying the St. Louis wanted to trade Shen because he's still under contract.
Right. Also,
So
you
he
could say like you don't know who else was in the bidding and stuff like that. If you guys had to go more because you needed a center, you needed an experienced guy who's won a cup.
that's you're right with that thinking.
Yeah.
Again, we're not privy to all the information with other teams and what they were, who was in, who was out, what other teams were asking. So it from my standpoint, it is a king's ransom.
Yeah.
But if you think about what we did last year, like we drafted 3 players in the first round. We lose a first round this year. Like, I mean, we're still pretty good,
It's
still
about
pretty
time.
healthy.
It's about time you started getting players in. It's like Buffalo. Buffalo
Well,
hadn't
that's
been
another team I was
in
going to talk about. Like,
14 years.
I mean,
Now they're trying to get some ass. I would say a couple of them.
well, yeah, yeah. But I cannot remember a time I've ever said the words Buffalo and buyers. I really can't.
That's a good point.
It's been a long time.
And you know what? I'm just so glad. And I mentioned this to Adelia in our Discord. Come join our Discord. It's fun.
Link in the description.
Thank you. But I was saying, like, like like we've sat here for I don't know how many years. Snark. We've talked about Buffalo, and the problem is Kevin Adams.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, Kevin Adams is no longer in the equation. Buffalo now is thriving, and they have a GM who is actually saying, "Hey, let's get better."
There's a whole thing. There's a whole thing where everyone's talking about this is Kevin Adams' team. Kevin Adams wasn't fired when the team was on its way up this year. They were
No,
terrible. And all it takes was a
they-
change at the top, and it seemed to make
but you couldn't plummet any farther down than what Kevin Adams had the Buffalo Sabres doing.
Yeah.
And we said this for many years. And I understand loyalty and I understand all this other stuff. And whatever. That's the Pagulas and all that. They can do whatever they want. But the best decision they made was to fire Kevin Adams, bring in Kikalainen. Is that the GM's name?
Yarmo.
Kikalainen.
He had been around. He had been around.
Well, he was with Columbus. Wasn't he part of?
Worm tongue, but in a good way, Adelia. That's for you.
So I mean, and now they're like, and now I'm just, I'm like, you know what? They see a window and they jumped on it. And I think what they did, obviously the Colton Parayko stuff, understandable. That's the problem with these. It's not a problem, but that's what you get when you have players who negotiate no movement clauses.
There's too many of them. There's far too many of them.
He said, I don't want.
You know how many? Let's talk about the NBA because I think that's the closest comparable when it comes to players and stuff like that. You know how many no trade clauses there are in the NBA right now?
Two. Yeah.
One is obvious.
LeBron.
The other one's Bradley Beal. That's everybody else. Your Luka Doncic can get traded at like have the rug pulled out from under him.
Well, that happened last year, so he's I don't think
but
he wants to go through that again.
anybody can get traded in that thing except for two.
But in the NHL, it's almost like if you are considered like not even considered a top tier player, like Colton Parayko. Don't get me wrong, he's a great defenseman. He's good, but I'm sorry, but he's not in the elite tier where I believe you get to dictate where you want to go or not.
Yeah, he should never be able to. I wouldn't say elite. I'd say he's in the very good level and stuff
Sure.
like that. Like you don't build a team around Colton Parayko.
No, I don't think you
That's
can.
the level. That's the level you have to reach. You have to reach like superstar level before you could even think of doing this. And they're giving it to third liners.
But in the same token,
that's on the GMs. So that's on the GMs.
but that's the thing. The GM gives this player the no movement clause, and then set GM wants to trade player, and player says no, and then set GM is like, well, you're not helping the team. Well, you're the one that give this person the no movement clause to begin with.
Yeah, you should never
So
ask.
shame on you.
And we'll also say this though: some GMs are going to come in after the former GM has already left and said, "Oh, would you mind doing this?" And if the guy says no, it's like, "What are you going to do?" It's like, "Oh, okay, thank you very much."
Yes, it's one thing if you inherited the team.
Yeah.
That's I understand that. But I mean, but you know what? Kudos to Buffalo, because as soon as that went down, they pivoted and they pivoted properly.
Yeah.
They wanted to go size. They wanted to get bigger. Well, if you can't get Colton Parayko, who's the next best? Well,
I don't think they got the next.
No, but from a size standpoint, Snark.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna
like
say
Logan Stanley, from a size standpoint, you're not going to get any bigger.
Dallas went and got. Speaking of guys with the trade protection, Dallas went and got Tyler Myers. Tyler Myers is 6'8", and well past his prime.
How many goals does Tyler Myers have this year, Snark?
Not many.
How many goals does Logan Stanley have?
He has 9.
Yeah, exactly.
Logan Stanley is a third pairing defenseman.
Tyler Myers has 1 goal this year.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about?
We're talking about he's going to go to Buffalo. He's an unrestricted free agent. This is why the Jets don't keep him.
And that's fine.
He's looking for in the range of $5 million. He's a third pairing defenseman.
But then again, that's up to Buffalo to decide if they want to re-sign him or not.
I don't see them resigning him. But somebody's going to resign him. But you're talking like he looks so big. He's 6'7". He should have a huge booming shot. Doesn't. He has a good shot. Is he physical? No. He thinks he's smaller. That's the problem.
Well, that's for sure. I understand that. Yes, you're correct. At that size,
you can be 6'7" and play 5'9".
Yeah. If you're 6'7", play 6'7". 100%.
One thing
you're
about
right.
him is the wingspan is obviously elite, and he has pretty good hand-eye coordination. Showed it a few games ago, where once again he had gone too far into the zone, had to scramble back. The pass was coming out for a breakaway, which happened too often, and he managed to get a stick out to block the shot. So that's it. So that's it about Logan Stanley. There's a reason. There's like this guy, like it's an unfortunate thing for Logan Stanley. He got drafted in the same draft that the Jets picked up Patrick Laine. The Jets were sitting 23rd, and people were thinking this guy's going to be 30th or maybe even a round pick. The Jets traded up to get him. They give up a second-round pick, and ever since then, the fans have been on him. I've been rooting for this guy and rooting for him. I want him to do better. It took him so long to develop. He finally develops. He's getting some time, and he can get walked. He can get walked. He isn't using his size properly. Maybe, and that may be on the Jets. Maybe that's a Jets coaching and stuff like that.
That could be a coaching thing. Yeah, that could be whatever. If they're asking him to do more than what he needs to do, I get it.
He needs to be harder. I hope he finds it. There's no way anyone's going to pay him $5 million. I hope he gets his head around that. But I want him to have a nice long career. Like, he's a good kid. Like, there's no problem with that. And then sending Luke Shen over is like, bye.
Well, that's it. It was more or less, hey, how about we give you this defensive pairing?
Yeah.
And Buffalo's like, yeah, okay, I guess.
They
And
need. They
again,
want size. They want size for the
yeah, but
playoffs. They don't. I don't know how much they actually want.
Luke Shen is going to be a 6, or I'm not even going to say the other number because I can't stand the.
Oh, right.
He's either going to be a 6 or
And no,
another
we
number in the
shouldn't.
pairing.
We shouldn't mention. We shouldn't mention Logan Stanley's height then again either because it's right there. We can always say
Yeah,
5. He's 5'19".
yeah, he's 5'19".
Yeah. So Shen goes. Shen.
But
Again.
kudos to
Finally,
Buffalo.
yeah.
That's the bottom line on
They're
this.
going for it. Fine. They
Kudos to Buffalo.
actually made moves. They want to shore up their back end. Like they okay, so they send Bryson over in the trade, just the one NHL piece that comes over, third line or third pairing defenseman. I think he's 5'9". So they're gaining like a foot in height. If that,
So there you go.
so there you are. They're gonna give up Isak Rosen in the trade. Who's a big AHL scorer. We're gonna see what happens because he's gonna stay with the Jets for the rest of the year. Jets need speed, which he has. He can score like hell in the AHL. To see if he can do it with a proper push in the NHL. The
That's
Jets have
possible.
control. The Jets have something they need to have when they're bringing guys in, and that's
His
control.
control.
They have control until 2030. So
Now, are you disappointed that there was a couple other of your team that didn't get moved?
what are they going to get? You know, you're like, oh, Gustav Nyquist scored his first goal as a
Oh
Jet
yeah.
the other day.
And
Like
guess what? And that man got interviewed so many times because of it. I'm just like, what are we doing here?
he was a good player at one point. So I was thinking, now's the time to push. It's like maybe we can trick,
He
maybe
scored one goal.
yeah, maybe we can trick the Ducks into giving us a first round pick and a prospect for this guy's on a hot streak right now, scoring finally his first goal in the Winnipeg Jets.
No, but I thought you were
I,
always
I
talking
give
about
him, I give him,
like a Cole Perfetti or something being moved.
I think Cole Perfetti is starting to produce now, so they're thinking like he's an RFA next year with arbitration rights, so we'll see what happens with that.
Okay.
But he is finally starting to score. Like, of course, he comes into the season hurt again. Takes a while for the surgeries, maybe too long, in my opinion, but it's starting to work now. And then they have the same thing with Lowry. Lowry, they give a raise to their captain, $5 million a year now. He has that hip surgery. It takes him a while, of course, to get back into the lineup, and then when he does, he's slower. Let's see what happens now that it looks like things might start feeling better and
Do
stuff
you
like
think
that. But I think everything
is
is all for next year anyway. I don't think the
is
Jets have any illusions of making the playoffs.
is Jonathan Tays a one and done with you guys?
I don't think so. I think his one and done is the money he's making. I think if he wants to play another year, he's making nowhere near the kind of bonuses that
Okay.
he.
No, I was just wondering because his name was actually brought up for trades because he's one of the UFAs that
Yeah,
Winnipeg had.
he said right out the bat, "I'm not a mercenary. I'm playing here."
Yeah, yeah.
No, he was never asked to move it, and he didn't ask to get traded. So
Oh, I know he didn't ask.
I think he still has another year in him.
Okay.
But that fourth line spot, which is when we were talking, it was like when I was hoping, I sure hoped he had that second line center in him. And the
Okay.
realistic thing was he was a fourth line guy. So that's what he is. And so, you pay a first ballot Hall of Famer next year $3 million to be a third liner when the cap's going up. Fine, great. One thing I was here, the one move I was curious about throughout the whole thing. Well, there's a few. Everyone was talking about goaltending, and Florida, isn't going to make the playoffs this year. Like I think they said this the first time, but it hasn't been even that long since like 2015 that the President's Trophy winners and the Stanley Cup champions in the same year aren't making the playoffs.
Mhm.
I think 2015, the Kings didn't make the playoffs; they won it, and Boston was the President's Trophy winners, and they were out.
Mhm.
So it hasn't even been that long. So maybe the whole thinking about the Stanley Cup champions and President Trophy winners is just going to go out the wayside. Of course, that's the only other example. Now, I was thinking like about Florida not moving guys like Bobrovsky, like keeping everybody and stuff like that. I think this is all part of that deal where they have, the tax breaks and stuff like that. They're getting guys in on smaller contracts than maybe they should. I don't know how they can sell it to anybody else if you're going to trade a guy like Bobrovsky, who, like, has won a couple of Stanley Cups, but is only making what, $7 million a year? Could be probably making more. But also, what would you get? What would the expected return be for a Bobrovsky? Say to a team like, go for Ottawa. Ottawa has a fantastic team in front of their goaltending, and the worst is like generationally bad goalkeeping. Like I think
Well,
that is like an
yeah,
they
yeah,
have 8.65 save
yeah. No,
percentage.
I understand that. I mean, I think the problem is like Ottawa doesn't like their goaltending has been bad. I think Allmark is starting to find his form.
Maybe.
So I think Ottawa was more than happy to stand pat. I'm thinking of a team like Edmonton. If you honestly think Tristan Jarry
Yep.
is going to like, I understand you tried to address your goaltending issues earlier in the season,
Yep.
and that's fine and
failed
dandy,
spectacularly at
and it
that.
failed spectacularly. So
Like
why not?
Skinner's look better.
But again,
Yeah.
Edmonton has nothing to give. That's the
They'll
problem
take
with
a
Edmonton.
job
They
load.
have nothing to give.
They don't have the money to give. Where are they going to afford to get? Who are they leaving? Who are they pushing away to Florida? And who are they going to take? Like,
Well, obviously, I'm pretty sure they'd flip Jari because I think he makes 5.
yeah, there's no way that Florida takes.
So they'd have to flip Jari in that deal as well. But you know what?
That's the
Like
same thing with the Binnington trade out of St. Louis. Like the same sort of money. Each won a Stanley Cup, of course, and one guy won 2, and more recently.
I'm actually like I'm not as surprised with Bobrovsky staying with Florida because I think Florida is going to try to re-sign him.
Yeah,
I was shocked that Binnington is still at St. Louis Blue. I thought he would have been traded, but who's to say? Like I mean, if Doug Armstrong said, "Hey, well, I'm going to take my chances in the offseason with him," or we don't know, there might be a greater need for a goaltender come draft day,
I have a feeling
where I think a lot of teams
when
went.
people were calling St. Louis for goaltending help, I don't think they were calling for Binnington. I think they were calling for Hofer. I think they were going to try and get him out of there. And he's younger. He's a good keeper. Also happens to be my idiot friend's nephew, for God's sakes. But uh, that's who you go after if you're going after the two. Even though you have Binnington look good at the Olympics, which he did, it wasn't terrible. Uh,
Mhm.
he was the second best keeper, and I'm not gonna complain about the guy who won the whole damn thing anyways.
So
Right?
what is our friend Fair saying here?
It says I
Okay.
saw something that the last 3 captains who have been traded have won the Stanley Cup. We had 3 captains traded this year, so who wins the cup? Minnesota Wild have traded for 2 captains.
Minnesota Wild aren't winning the Stanley Cup.
No,
No.
Nope.
and neither's and
It's a nice story with the Foligno brothers getting back together. You have Nick Foligno going over there from Chicago, and
that that
it's
that
a
is
sad
good move.
thing for the kids or whatever in Chicago because they really liked them. I am not a fan of any Foligno. I can tell you that. And their dad had the stupidest helmet ever. But uh,
Oh,
uh,
yeah.
yeah, I don't feel bad for Chicago though either, and I hate Minnesota. I hate them so very much in my heart. Yes, it's I think they're a bunch of toilet boys, and yeah, if
Well, what's this comment
I
Sugar
have
saying?
worse thing to say, but I can't say it.
Thoughts on you? Okay, sorry,
Getting
go ahead.
Malkin getting suspended.
This is
He's been
who
suspended for 5
he is.
games.
This is who he is. He's a hothead. Any kind
Bef-
of
whoa,
pushback on him, a little cheap shot. He's a
so
cheap shot guy.
so
Uh,
5 games. So someone who can two-hand somebody over the head.
yep.
If you think 5 games is too much, I mean then you're that's bush league.
I'm trying to
Like sorry,
remember.
Shug. I think Evgeny Malkin should be suspended at least 20 games for that.
Well, yeah, I think the
Oh,
sad
come
thing
on.
is the stupid rules. I have no problem kicking him out of the league. No. Don't get me wrong, but I always remember James Neal two-handing Hellebuck across the head, going for a puck that he misses. not only did he not get suspended by that, when he knocked Hellebuck over, the goal that scored counted. And they reviewed it and they said it was still a good goal. So who knows about the NHL? They only say they're worried about head injuries. They're not really.
No,
You know,
Shug.
That's
You're,
ridiculous. That's
come on.
ridiculous. 2 hands equals 2 games. No way.
he's
The
already been
Department of
suspended
Player
too many
Safety,
times.
the Department of Player Safety has been a joke for a long time, in my
Oh yeah,
opinion. Like, it's part of the CBA. They can only fine players certain amounts, and they can only suspend them for a certain number of games, and it's all a joke.
that's
It
on the
needs to get
players.
revamped.
That's on the players and the owners. You got to negotiate.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, how to properly deal with this stuff so it's out of your sport. But like the one thing that the union always does is defend the offender. They never
Yeah.
defend the guy who's actually attacked, who is also a union member.
Yeah,
Where
that's
when
right.
does
That's fair.
when does the guy who gets attacked say, "What are you guys doing? Why are you allowing this?" Enough.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Ferris
ridiculous.
also saying, can we give Anze Kopitar some love? 1,500 games with the Kings. Bravo,
I was going to
Anze.
bring that up towards the end. 1,500 games. I think they said there's only been 6 other players that have ever done it with one team. One of those was Gordie Howe until of course,
Yeah,
he came back to Hartford or
sure.
whatever
That's right.
for 1 or 2 years or whatever it was. But I think it's Ovechkin,
Ovechkin is one.
Iserman,
Oh,
Alex
yeah.
Del, Alex Del Vecchio, also in
Hmm.
Detroit, I think. Trying to think of
I
who
have the
else.
list here if you want it.
Sure.
Gordie Howe played 1,687 games with the Red Wings.
But
Patrick
Detroit.
Marleau,
yeah, but the 15, yeah,
1,607
I'll
with
just say
the
this about Gordie
Sharks.
Howe. Gordie Howe, he hit the 1,500 mark with the one team, and then of course he's going to
Yeah.
play for another team. Same with Patrick Marleau.
Patrick Marleau, Nick Lidstrom with Detroit,
Yeah,
Del Vecchio with Detroit, Shane Doan with the Jets/Coyotes franchise,
yeah, you could say about the
um,
franchise, sure.
Ray Bork with the Bruins, Steve Yzerman with Detroit, Ovechkin with the Capitals, and now Anze Kopitar.
Anze Kopitar is one of whatever it's going to be 5 other of those guys to retire as only playing for the one team, which is cool. I guess you
That's
could say Shane,
awesome
Shane
to see.
Doan. Shane Doan, you have to say whatever. He never got traded. He never signed anywhere else. I still remember I was at Shane Doan's first game, and it was at the first game that Shane Doan actually scored in. It took a while. It took a while for Shane Doan to score that first year as a Jet. It was, I think, the last year for the Jets. For God's sake, it's terrible. Okay, what else do we want to talk about
Damn,
when it
that's a
comes
lot
to?
of Detroit. Yes, that's a lot of Red Wings players. For
Yeah,
sure.
Oh, who's
usually,
your so trade for teams? Who's your one winner? Who's your one loser?
so hard. You're, to say about a winner for this year, you can say Colorado. They shored up their
Hmm.
lineup. Uh, I don't think it's going to be a winner come a couple years from now, but it doesn't matter. As long as they win this year. If they win this year, they win the trade deadline. They win everything else too. Uh, and any losers, you're talking about Edmonton needing goaltending and stuff like that, but the cost, like how do they make the money work in Edmonton? Because the cap's going to be going up fine. Any goaltender you're going to want, except for Bobrovsky, is going to be worth a pretty penny
Hmm.
just to sign and stuff like that. Bobrovsky you wouldn't have had to worry about. Uh, like who are you? Like I can't think of anything where you can make money work to get a goaltender in Edmonton that solves a problem that you're going to have. Because Tristan Jarry won the Stanley Cup. He actually filled in for Fleury, I believe, at the beginning of that first round or whatever. I think he takes over
Yeah.
Pittsburgh. He was never quite the same after doing that, and then Fleury leaves and stuff like that. So, and that was a very long time ago now. Jari isn't the answer. They can't figure out an answer in Edmonton until they decide that 1-2 punch has to get split up. and they have to go like a less of a 1A and B in Edmonton that are
Yeah,
so good to a 1 and a 2, and have
I understand.
a 2 that is very good, and then a very good goaltender. You have
Mhm.
to make the money work between the two. You can't have a $12 million second line center and then a goalie that's worth shit. What do you guys think? I know you guys. I know Adelia is going to be pretty happy. Was there any other moves that you thought were maybe that's something we should talk about? Or do you think anybody actually won anything? I'm happy with the things that the Jets did. Getting a few picks back for guys that aren't going to be resigned.
Yeah, I don't know. The rest of this window, other than what the Avs were doing, was kind of underwhelming, I guess you could say. But I think a lot of teams just don't know what to do to make the money work for the players that have signed these contracts with the teams they're currently on.
Mm-hmm.
And even with the cap going up next year, it's like they have to be under the salary cap for the playoffs this year. No more
Yeah,
bringing
they've got to
somebody
make it
back
work.
off LTIR
Yeah.
and being over the cap, and it's just what it is. What it is. That's not
And
happening anymore.
all of a sudden, Florida and Vegas don't look so insurmountable anymore.
Exactly. I did notice that they put Mark Stone on LTIR like right after this,
I
and somebody
laughed my head
somebody
off.
said that was the annual rite of passage of the trade deadline.
Yeah.
Um, I just don't think that even with the salary cap going up next year, these teams could justify stuff to themselves. I thought what Buffalo did was somewhat interesting. I thought Toronto not getting rid of more people was somewhat interesting. But I also think they
Who really wants
fleeced the
Oliver
couple of
Ekman?
teams. No, I agree. I
Yeah.
agree, but I thought Toronto might actually make a few more moves than they did. Um well, it remains to be seen. I don't have much faith in the Lightning suddenly being put over the top by Corey Perry coming back. Like the Ducks with
Ugh.
acquiring John Carlson and getting rid of Ryan Strom
The
is
crazy thing with
interesting.
that was just the reaction by the players. You had an A on his chest and stuff like that, but like Ovechkin, I think called it the worst day of his entire career when John
Yeah.
Carlson left, which is great.
Oh no, that was Tom Wilson cried.
Yeah,
Like Tom
yeah,
Wilson cried.
that's on you.
Yeah,
That's on
John.
them. That's on
That's
them.
oh yeah, that's on
It's
them.
on them.
But I'll tell you, like we're glossing over a team that I think is the biggest winner of this whole trade deadline.
Sure.
Okay.
That's the Calgary Flames.
I was thinking about Calgary and their picks, but
They have.
do you
Did you
trust
see what they have for the next 3 years?
But
Did you see?
you have to trust that they know what to do with these picks.
Well,
Yeah, that's the thing.
100%. Yeah, it's the same as every other team. Yes, we have to trust.
Did they get like the best return on the players that they sent out in this window?
I think
Yes,
they made. I
probably,
think
Oh
absolutely.
yes.
they made
But
off like
what
bandits in
will they
Colorado.
do with those?
That's
Is
the
the
big thing.
thing.
That's the big.
Like I think they have what 2 first-round draft picks the next 2 years
Yep.
in each year. Like 2 this year, 2 next year. Like Calgary is set up like now. That's a team that's going to take 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you right now, like that team, like you know what, with the like Craig Conroy is. I'm not. He's not the GM of the decade. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. But I think he's made up for some issues that has gone on there before.
Maybe. Uh, I'm just thinking. I think back to. I think it was that 2015 draft. I talked about it before when L.A. and Boston had both fallen apart. Boston comes back with they had 3 first-round picks in a row. They make some trades. They get 3 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Not one of them is playing for them anymore. The only one that was ever worth a damn, I believe, was Louis DeBrusque.
Louis DeBrusque, yeah.
The pick that came after that was Kyle Connor, who's done pretty good.
Done pretty good.
Yeah.
But
The 3 Boston first round picks in a row that year were Jacob Zaboral,
Yep.
a defenseman,
Mm-hmm.
Jake DeBrusque, and Zachary Senshin.
I said Louis DeBrusque like his dad, who I also hated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's also
the next 3 picks after that were Matthew Barzal to the Islanders,
yeah,
Kyle
pretty
Connor
good.
to the Jets, and Thomas Chabot to the Senators.
to Ottawa.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I wonder how that changes Boston's history. Just those 3 picks. Anyways,
But the two teams I'm most disappointed in,
yep.
the New York Rangers, because how can you like how? Oh, I'm sorry, but that like Chris Drury, like you deserve to be fired.
Sure.
I don't think Chris Drury is a very good GM.
Deserves to be fired.
I think you should stay there forever.
The one biggest asset that is a free agent on your team, and you don't do anything with nothing. So he's going to walk for nothing. Like it's insane. It's criminal. It's whatever. If I'm a New York Rangers fan, which thank God I'm not, I'm shouting to the hills.
I wonder,
fire this man.
If he'd still have a job today, though. Like if you're saying, like you have to get something for him. If he trades Trocheck back to Carolina for like a 6th-round pick, I'm pretty sure he's fired today. I think just holding on to him gives him to the end of the year. And then,
his name. Well, yeah, but then that brings me to my next is the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like Brad Treliving, whatever, or Treliving, whatever. I mean, that man 2 years ago traded a 1st-round pick and one of his top prospects for Scott Laughton. Yeah. What did he trade Scott Laughton for this year? A conditional 3rd.
Yeah, so probably a 4th.
No, because it could move to a 2nd if the Kings make the playoffs.
So, yeah.
But then all of a sudden you got another.
And it also happened at the Bell. He waited forever.
That's the problem. Is he sat, and it wasn't just Scott Laughton. It's Bobby McMann as well.
Yeah.
This is another player that they thought that they were going to get firsts for these players. Yeah. Bobby McMann, you got a 3rd, or a 2nd and a 5th, or 2nd and a 4th.
2nd and a 4th for Bobby.
For McMann, from Seattle. Then you got a conditional 3rd for like. My gosh, like you just totally went and said, I'm gonna piss on all the draft pick on my 1st overall pick or my 1st pick, 1st round, because I think that this will help the team. Scott Laughton, a great player.
I would have to say someone has to offer a 1st round before you take it. I'm sure that nobody offered, and then they hold on to get another 1st round pick.
But that's because he held on to these players too long. Maybe. He waited. He gambled. He thought the later I hold on to these players, the more desperate teams are going to get. Well, that never happened. That never happened. So then all of a sudden now he's caught with his tail between his legs. And he's like, oh, God, I got to at least do something. So you unload a guy that you give up a top prospect and a 1st-round draft pick for a conditional 3rd. That's, to me, that is a fireable offense as well. That's the 2nd GM that needs to be fired.
He is the last remnants, I think, of the Shanna plan. It comes in, of course, at the very end. He's going to have to take the bullets, which is going to lead to he's not. I have zero faith that he's going to be back next year. None. I think he's going to get fired as soon as the final whistle goes.
Should have been.
He's not going to be there to do exit interviews. He's just done.
Should have been fired as soon as trade deadline was over and everything was done, official. The Leafs should have come out this morning saying us and our GM are no longer, like, wish him in his future endeavors.
Yeah, he's gonna be fired. The next guy to come in has well, obviously, I'm going to say he has the highest pressure GM job in hockey. There's no other fan base like the Leafs when it comes to having it always on you all the time, no matter when. You can be.
Who would want to take over this dumpster fire? Who would?
There's always going to be somebody who likes money because they have a lot of it and they can hand it to people. But does the next guy that come in decide to strip everything down to the nuts and bolts and get rid of Matthews? And that's going to be the big thing that's going to be
yes, 100%. You're correct.
So let's wrap it up there. we had, for as much of there was nothing really going on here at the trade deadline, we sure had a lot to talk about, which is super fun. Ryan, why don't you just say? I guess you've got a couple other things coming on here. It used to be it's like, oh yeah, you don't have much
Yeah,
to do.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
all you have is more. All you have is
Yeah,
more.
yeah. Snark's like I could always get 2 more minutes out of the show because Ryan has nothing to say at the end. So
True.
I get it. Yeah, no, but actually, we do have a couple of cool things coming up. I believe this is going to be next weekend. Myself and a good friend of ours, Ferris Muthana, we have a golf show called The Fairway,
Sure.
and we are going to be covering next week. It's a pretty big deal. It's the Players Championship, so we're going to be covering each round Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday is when the real treat is. Because Sunday we're actually going to do a live stream for the last. I'm going to say 4 or 5 holes.
Yeah.
We're gonna live stream. Anybody's welcome to come on if they want. We can. We're gonna sit. We're gonna talk about the players. We're just enjoy. I have 4 feet of snow still on my ground, so I like to enjoy watching where it's sunny. It's in the 80s, and and the clubs are swinging. But we also debuted another show just the other day, and that's the newest show here on the Good Friends Better Rivals channel. It's called 90 Feet. It's our new Major League Baseball podcast show, where not just myself because I can't do that alone, but another Ferris and then another good friend, Shug Knight 323. Shug, we talk Major League Baseball, but we dive into really 3 teams: Toronto Blue Jays, New York Yankees, and the LA Dodgers. But
One
we
of which
also
is acceptable. One.
what's that?
So only one of which is acceptable to talk about.
100%.
Mm.
So, I mean, we will talk about major things that's going on in baseball, but mainly we're just discussing the 3 teams. So that again, that show will probably we just taped the first one. We're gonna tape another one there probably in the next month or whatever, and we're gonna just roll with it, and we're gonna have some fun. So that's what's going on with me, and I'm thank you everybody for listening and watching, and subscribe.
Smell of pine tar in the air. Ryan, for goodness sakes. Adelia, what is up with you? I know we have 2 channels worth of things to talk about here at the end of the show.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. Shook says he is stronger than a bear, faster than a buck, and the biggest thing to hit Canada because the Maple Leafs suck. So,
But you know what?
They like Shug in Canada?
That's the one thing I actually do agree with Shug. Like, there's one thing we actually do agree on.
Yeah, it's
the
a
Maple Leafs
universal
suck.
thing. It's a universal thing. Yeah.
You can find me on this channel on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific with Snark talking about the Premier League on starting 11. There was no Premier League this weekend, but we have 2 match weeks worth of Premier League to catch up on because we didn't do a show last week. So tune in and we'll catch up on all of that, and we might cover some FA Cup stuff too because I think Snark had a little bit of a scare there in the FA
Almost
Cup
had a
today, but
temper
they came
tantrum.
through.
Almost had a
They came
temper
through.
tantrum today about a couple of
Yeah.
Hollywood boys.
And then you can find me on the post credits channel, our sister channel. You can go to that by going to the postcredits.com. Subscribe over there, please, and subscribe here. Thursday night, 5:30 Pacific, we'll be doing Spider-Man Far From Home on the Rewatchers Council. And Snark has some other Rewatchers Council episodes to tell you about.
Far From Home is the one with the vulture, right? I think so.
No, that's Homecoming.
Now,
Far From
which
Home's
one's
the
that
one
one?
with Mysterio.
Oh, Mysterio. Yeah, that one's all right. Okay, guys. Rewatchers Council over on the post credits Thursday, Friday, live both days at 5 o'clock Central Time. The most handsome and best smelling of the standard time zones, in my personal opinion. Buffy this week. We're going to be talking about the aftermath of the body episode. Of course, Ferris and I went through that this past Thursday. Gave my thoughts on it, which aren't too great. Angel finally back up and running after a pretty dour stretch here in the second season. They are seemingly getting things back together, and of course, with Disharmony coming on Friday, we're gonna have one of my favorite characters coming over to the Angel version of the show. So those are the two Rewatcher Council shows this week, and I'd like to thank everybody for joining us. Now, before we go, of course, I want to say rest in peace to Troy Murray, Winnipeg Jet captain. I wouldn't say great. You have to say he's a Chicago Blackhawk. Great. Anything. Now, he's the first guy ever to wear that shirt in public. Because I remember back when I was I was going to say kid, I was younger, having them come out on the CKY on a local television channel wearing the new jerseys and stuff. Troy Murray, the first guy to be wearing one. I'll always remember that. Cancer is a fucking terrible thing. So, everybody, thanks again for watching. Wear a mouth guard, wear a neck brace. All these things are there to keep you safe. And until then, next time we join you on Post Whistle, I'll say merci beaucoup et see you later. I just